I made 5 places available and all were taken, sold out. I do tend to have a lot of people, I think, coming into my world through YouTube and then onto my email list that just aren't the right people. That's why I've kind of decided to go a little bit more niche, because things have been very broad. It makes sense for me to niche down and have a better idea of who my ideal customer is.
Hello and welcome to the Art of Selling Online Courses. We are here to share winning strategies, secret hacks from top performers in the online course industry. My name's John Ainsworth, and today's guest is Derek Callum. Derek is a professional English coach based in Innsbruck, Austria. He is the man behind the YouTube channel English for Professionals. He's been coaching business English for over 22 years and has clocked more than 10,000 hours of in-company training delivered directly to non-native professionals at their workplaces, alongside teaching at the Management Center in Innsbruck. He launched professional English coaching in 2004. And then in 2016, after 15 years of delivering in-company training, he launched his YouTube channel with the goal of building an online audience and a scalable digital business that could reach professionals anywhere in the world. That channel has now grown to over 250,000 subscribers, nearly 500 videos, and nearly 10 million total views. He's also got a catalog of online courses that he's sold worldwide, and he's now building a high-ticket one-to-one coaching program aimed at the moments where professionals freeze under pressure. Presentations, meetings, the calls that matter. What Derek's done is he's taken a deep expertise in a niche and turned it into a real digital business from an iPhone and a basic mic. Exactly the journey that you're probably on right now. Derek, welcome to the show, man.
Hey, John, thanks very much. Great to be here. Thanks for the invite.
So talk us through, who is it exactly that you're helping with your courses?
Okay, so basically working professionals who are, they're working internationally. They need to use English in the workplace. And they struggle because, for whatever reason, they never had enough English in school, or things are changing in their workplace. They need to be able to perform in English at a higher level. And yeah, they need to speak confidently. They need to be able to make a good impression. And ultimately, what a lot of these people want is to progress in their careers, better jobs, earn better money, and so on.
And what exact problem are you solving for them? What's the issue that you can help them with?
Well, there are several different things. I think some of the main things that I try to help people with are performing in meetings. So high stakes, important meetings and discussions where they have to show up, they have to express opinions, they have to make positive contributions, and also in other areas like relationship building. So how to master those informal conversations at work with their colleagues, but also with clients, with their bosses. Other things as you mentioned before, some of the main things, meetings, small talk, presentations, and just general confidence as well, and having a wider range of vocabulary. So there's a lot of different ways that I help people.
How many courses have you got? How many are you got in your kind of catalog?
At the moment, I have three courses available. So, there have been other courses that have kind of come and gone, or that I've, made combinations of courses. But right now I have 3 courses that I offer on an evergreen basis.
Okay, cool. And then you're working at the moment on a one-to-one coaching program. What's the planned launch date for that? What's the kind of plan about how that's going to work?
Funny that you ask that, because I have already launched it.
Excellent news.
Yeah, I've been working on it for a few months, and I recently launched it to a small segment of my email list, people who have bought my digital courses before.
Yeah.
So my warm list, if you like. And that was a great success, I have to say. So I made 5 places available, and all 5 were taken, so sold out.
Nice.
And I actually just started yesterday an email promotion to the wider list, because I'm also promoting it to the wider list. I have some capacity, so I'm going to offer another couple of spaces at this kind of special, I'm calling it the founding member rate. And once I get those extra couple of clients in, then it will return to its full investment.
Yeah.
And then the goal will be to generate a constant flow of leads to that particular coaching product.
And then what's the price point on that? Or
Um,
what's the founding one and what's the main price point going to be?
the founding price is $1,200, and the full investment is going to be 1,500, and that's
1,500.
for a 10-week program, which has one weekly live session and then additional weekly challenges, kind of asynchronous,
Mhm.
and like different tasks, homework tasks to keep people engaged between the sessions.
Okay, cool. My suspicion is that you can raise the price on that a good amount. I don't like I'm not in your business. I'm not talking to your audience, right? But like I've helped people launch one-to-one offers for teaching music, and they've been able to charge about 1,000 a month.
Hmm.
And business English is more important than learning the banjo.
Yeah,
Or you're like, and
yeah,
I'm like,
I agree.
I love music, right? I love playing
Yeah,
my bass, but I just feel like people would be willing to pay more because it can make them more money back, right? Especially if it's the right people. If it's the people who are gonna make a bigger deal, gonna, close that deal, or not gonna look like an idiot or whatever from learning English, then I would expect that they would be willing to pay more. So therefore, my suspicion is that you can charge more than they can. And at the moment, you're charging, well, let's count it as the 1,500 for 10 weeks. That's 2.5 months. So that's like 600-ish. Have I done my maths right? Yeah, about 600 a month.
yeah. Hmm.
Okay. So I reckon you can get that to at least 1,200, so at least 1,000, and probably
Yeah,
more than that.
well, that's the thing. Like what you said, when you have people who are very serious, they're committed, and the results of the program will lead to big things for them, big
Hmm.
changes, then of course, I think people would be willing to make a higher investment. Absolutely.
Yeah.
My idea with the opening rate, having this kind of special offer for the first clients, is because it's a new program and I
Yep.
want to
Yep.
test it and become really good at delivering it, like make it excellent, help people get like really good results in this space of time. And yeah, the goal would definitely be once it's established, and if I can generate enough interest and convert people easily at 1,500, then the next step would definitely
Raise
be
it.
to raise that price. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and I think you've got a good chance as well of having ongoing clients after the 10 weeks. They finish the
Yeah.
10 weeks and then they become an ongoing. I don't know if that's what you've already got planned, or what's your thoughts about that?
I mean, that's what I've been doing for years. I've been very lucky with I've continued to do face-to-face work here, like with corporate clients
Hmm.
where I live. And I have some very loyal clients who just keep rebooking and rebooking. So the idea is as well, hopefully 10 weeks will be just the start.
Yeah.
And I would love to have a second program kind of set up, or even like just the bones, the ideas of how this could continue, what's the next logical step after this particular program, so
Mm.
that I can increase that, that AVL, isn't it? Is that the abbreviation, the acronym? I can never remember. Average
LTV.
LTV. What did I say? AVL. Yeah, LTV. Yeah,
There's
the lifetime
you've
value.
thrown me now. Yeah, LTV or CLTV is lifetime value or customer lifetime value. The other
Yeah.
ones, other fun acronyms are CAC or CAC is customer acquisition cost, and so you often look at what's the cost versus lifetime value. YouTubers don't really have that because you're not paying extra money to acquire somebody. It's more about, are you doing the right tactics?
Yeah.
And then AOV is the other one, average order value. That's like how much is someone
AOV, that's
spending
what I was
every time.
thinking of. I was getting the mix up. Yeah, but yeah, obviously the LTV, that's a goal. I want
Yeah.
people to stay with me as long as they feel that they're getting value and I'm helping them get results. Yeah, that would be the next step then, to have something kind of lined up and ready to go after the 10 weeks.
Here's the thing in my experience is if you're the person that your audience goes to learn about this topic, you can charge a lot more money than everybody else for helping them one-to-one. Like I chat about him quite often because he's a friend of mine and we talk about his business quite a lot. but Jack from Banjo Skills, he knows people who are much better banjo players than him,
Right.
and they are only charging like $30 an hour to teach banjo because they're not got the marketing process in place,
Mm.
and they're really good, and they're in. People who play banjo know that they are the best people, but they haven't got a whole marketing system set up for it. But he's got a YouTube
Yeah.
channel and he's got an email list and he knows how to send email promotions because he's gone through our course.
Hmm.
And as a result, he's charging like 1,000 a month, and he's doing, I think, I'll ask him next time I see him. Jack, if you're listening, message me when you hear this. But I think he's doing like a session every 2 weeks now. So it was a session a week for 1,000 a month, and I think now it's a session every 2 weeks for 1,000 a month, something like that. And it's like, oh, that starts to be like, you've still only got so much capacity, but that starts to be like pretty good money. It's like, certainly and then what I'm trying to convince him to do is, well, why don't you hire that person who's a really top coach and get them to deliver the sessions, but under your brand, and pay them $50 an hour instead of 30,
Yeah.
but you charge 300 or whatever it is. So it's like, it's your system, and that's, I think, then you've really got some leverage.
Absolutely, and that's the way that I'm the kind of person who tends to look very far ahead.
Okay.
Think about things that haven't happened. I worry about things that haven't happened, and I hope for things that haven't happened. And but
when
definitely,
this thing that hasn't happened happens,
Yeah.
then what am I going to do to deal with it when I'm so successful? Because I used to do that all the time. My ex used to say to me, but that's not a problem.
Yeah.
You don't even know if it's going to happen. And
Yeah.
like, in my head, it's like, oh, definitely when this happens, then I'm going to have to do this. And it's just like, yeah, just don't worry about it. It might not happen. I wouldn't think about it. But okay, sorry, carry on. I interrupted you.
Yeah, absolutely. It's that whole thing. Let's cross that bridge when we come to it, isn't it?
Yeah.
But yeah, like I think about the future like that. I know that there's great potential in what I do, what I've built so far. Really proud of it. And I do look at things in that way because I've been in this space for a while. I've listened to you and lots of your guests before. I've learned a lot from other creators, and that's definitely, a direction that I'd be hoping, to be in a position someday where I can step back, and bring in other coaches who can deliver my products and services as well as me, or even better. And yeah, but then I'm the brand and I have all the bits set up, as you say. So I just keep the well-oiled machine running,
Yeah, and
and
it
I
sounds
have,
like
yeah.
what you're kind of searching for at the moment is a great product market fit. It's like, okay, is courses it with your audience? Maybe that's not quite right, but the one-to-one stuff is proven. But how do you make that? How do you make it so that you can close a high percentage of people and charge enough money, and like trying to get all those bits lined up? And I think if you can find, so product market fit is such a big deal. Like, and it's one of the things that like we generally only work with people as clients once they've already built an audience and found product market fit. Because those two things are like, I don't know, 10 years work or something,
Yeah.
for a lot of people, right? And it's like,
Absolutely.
okay, then once someone's got that, then I can come in and go, right, now let's help boost that with better funnels and better email marketing or whatever. But if you don't have good product market fit, the emails don't matter. The sales page doesn't matter. It's like, you've got to have the right kind of lined up of, are you selling what people want to buy?
Exactly. And I think like I've had, a certain level of success with selling self-paced low ticket courses. But I've also come to realize that, I think I haven't maybe had that, 100%, that product market fit, as you say, where, people have bought my self-paced courses, and a lot of people, were the right people and they completed the courses and got good results. But then I do tend to have a lot of people, I think, coming into my world, through YouTube and then onto my email list that just they aren't the right people. And of course, I mean, that's going to happen anyway. That's going to happen. But I think there's yeah, I don't know how to describe it really. I think that's why I've kind of decided to go a little bit more niche, because things have been, I think, very broad. My YouTube channel is basically for people who need English for work, and
Hmm.
that's huge.
Yeah.
So I think it makes sense for me to niche down a little bit and have a better idea of who my ideal customer is,
Mm.
and then and take it from there. So like that's what I'm going through at the moment. Over the last 6 months to 12 months, I've been giving that a lot of thought. And I think that's the future for me now, is getting this one-to-one program established and then
Hmm.
kind of building the business anew around that.
Yeah. Yeah. That makes sense. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, fingers crossed that you find in there that product market fit and people are like, oh yeah, fuck yeah, that's what I want. Because if you
Yeah,
do, then
yeah.
then it makes everything else easier.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
One of the things that you've said about teaching people business English is that the biggest barrier in language learning isn't ability or motivation, it's mindset. What do you mean by that?
Okay, yeah, yeah. Yeah, what do I mean by that? So, in my experience, people often are better than they think they are.
Okay.
Um, and they give themselves a very hard time about their English. My English is so bad, and so on. And I think a lot of that it can come from, one or two negative experiences. Sometimes it goes back to school. It could also be
Mm,
something that happens in a professional context. So I think people, when they can develop a stronger mindset about learning and themselves and their abilities, then they get that confidence, which is so huge when it comes to speaking a second language.
mm,
So yeah, that's helping people to kind of think about themselves differently and about what they're capable of, in with the goal of like really building confidence and
mm.
setting them up differently so they can approach their language learning or their pain points in a completely different way and ultimately have more success, get better results, if that makes sense.
How do you do that? How do you build them up? How do you get them to have that confidence?
How do I do that? Yeah, good question. So, it's something that I actually have started to put more focus on. In my last couple of self-paced courses that I created, I built this in right in the very first module where I approach the topic of mindset, and I encourage people to develop some very simple habits using simple techniques. Very simple things like visualizing themselves in that situation, that important meeting, smiling, communicating confidently,
Mm,
people nodding, um, other things like simple preparation techniques before a high stakes situation, presentation, or whatever that may be, negotiation, simple preparation techniques. And then also just reminding them that, you've been invited to that meeting for a reason. You're good at your job. You're capable. You have the experience. You have the expertise. You're there for a reason. Let your voice be heard.
mm,
And kind of trying to bring that in the like when I first meet them, when they first come into a course, whether that's a self-paced course or a one-to-one coaching, and then kind of reminding them throughout.
mm,
Don't forget your voice is important. Make your voice heard, and simple things like that. It's a work in progress. I've been doing that for a while. It has really resonated with people. People have given me great feedback, and some people have said like that was the most valuable part of the course or the coaching.
mm,
And it's something that I want to get better at, because I think first of all, I have to have a great mindset. I'm always working on my own mindset, or trying to. But if you can, I really do believe that if you can help your coachees or people who buy your courses to develop a stronger mindset, it can have such a massive impact and just get them results faster, get them better results, keep them motivated, keep them accountable, and.
mm. That makes sense. One of the things I wanted to ask you about is you'd gone through our instant course sales program before. What did you learn from that maybe someone listening could find useful? What did it help you to learn to do in your marketing?
Wow, yeah. Lots of stuff. Just this, how to structure. I think structure was a big thing. How to structure a good email promo.
Mm.
And I had done things kind of on my own until then by looking at other people's email campaigns
Hmm.
and doing my own research. And this was all before ChatGPT and became big so just much more structure that made sense, with these warm-up emails, pain, agitate, solution, and also also with mindset about how often you can run promos and not being afraid to put your offers in front of your potential clients regularly because people won't open every email, people will miss things. So the structure of running an email campaign, also then around welcome sequences, I found that whole module really helpful for building a welcome sequence that makes sense. And to be honest with you, I'm one of those people who's guilty of not completing a course. I haven't got through everything. There's still lots there that I haven't touched, that I will go back to at some point. Dip in and out. But yeah, how to write structured campaigns. Using that formula that just kind of makes sense.
If you're listening and you're thinking, what's this formula that they're talking about? I'm looking for a podcast episode that you can go check out. If you go and listen to episode 175, it's called "This New Email Marketing Strategy Doubled My Revenue." That was with Joe Armstrong, and I interviewed him because he'd gone through the program and then started using our model. And he kind of talks through like, well, what had he done? How does it work? And then I'm going to find another couple of examples as well.
Yeah, so I mean, when I first, the first time I used that properly was for a course that I had recently launched, like a beta version. And then I used it for, I think, the proper launch or either the second kind of cohort. And it worked really well. And I was like, oh, wow, this is cool. And
Nice.
I've continued whenever I've run promos, I've continued to use that structure. Sometimes slightly adapted, but um more or less following that formula, which just makes sense.
So I found two other podcast episodes you can listen to hear more about that approach. It's episode 118, 118, Make $3 Million Using Good Email Copy and Urgency. That was with Monica. And then episode 116, Our $25 million Funnel and Email Marketing Strategy. So if you listen to those, you'll get a much better idea of like how this all works and what's included. If you go to datadrivenmarketing.co/resources, there is an outline. It's called 2 Secret High Performing Email Templates. Okay. So what's the process for you at the moment of like, how does someone go from watching one of your YouTube videos to being a customer? What are you promoting? Lead magnets as the first point to kind of get them onto the email list, or what happens first for you?
Yeah, so my main lead magnet at the moment is what I call the Professional English Phrase Booster. And it's a
Hmm.
free PDF download, which includes like 50 top phrases for different situations. I think I've got meetings, presenting, working on projects, very carefully selected phrases, PDF download, and that seems to work quite well. Although I'm hoping to bring out a newer, up-to-date lead magnet soon, something that's more aligned with my new one-to-one program. But
Yeah.
that's the one that I have at the moment, which people like. It's been downloaded thousands of times. So people see me on YouTube within the first, I don't know, 20 seconds usually, I mention it.
Okay.
And the link is down there. People click on that link. What happens next? Yeah, they get to the very simple page where they can opt in for that
Hmm.
lead magnet. And then in the very first email they get, I deliver that lead magnet, and then I start a welcome sequence where I introduce myself and tell them more about me. And slowly build them up to it's a bit different than it was. I've kind of paused it for now because I'm working on new things.
Yeah.
And then so that's my main lead magnet. And then I have some video specific lead magnets, and I have a couple of course specific lead magnets. So, like if they watch one of my videos on YouTube about small talk,
Hmm.
I encourage them to download a small talk, a free resource on small talk, and then they go into a sequence where ultimately I introduce them to the self-paced course on small
And
talk.
then have you got
Yeah.
any Tripwire funnel running at all?
Not at the moment. I did in the past, but I decided to stop it. It was actually working quite well, but I just didn't feel it was right for the business.
Okay.
Uh, but I liked, that's actually, yeah, that's something else that I, learned through you guys. And how to do that, how to create a good Tripwire page. And that was really exciting when I started because it was something completely new I hadn't done before. And
Mm.
it worked really well. But I decided to kind of stop it just because I didn't feel that it was really helping the business. So again, it wasn't fully optimized within my funnel and my other offers. So
Mm.
but it's something that I may go back to if it fits in with what happens next, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. Yeah. One of the things that's difficult is trying to line up everything through the whole funnel because you want to do YouTube videos that are going to get a lot of views, but you only really want views from the people who are possibly going to become a buyer, like the right kind of people. You don't want just entertainment views. You want like educational views. And then you want a lead
Absolutely.
magnet that lines up with the video so that people are more likely to opt into the lead magnet. But then you want the lead magnet to line up with the offer, and you want the first offer, the tripwire, to line up with whatever you're going to offer them at the end of the welcome sequence, and then whatever your main offer is. And you kind of trying to get all of that to line up together is it's almost impossible to make it all work perfectly, but you're trying to kind of optimize over time to find like, right, our most valuable customers are these guys. What kind of videos would bring those guys in? What lead magnet would make sense for that video? Can that line up with it? And it's like, can you kind of start to fine tune it all so it fits as best you can? And I accept that's like a
Yeah.
difficult challenge.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially when you have several courses,
Hmm.
then there could be the argument for have the simplest funnel possible and have just one product, or have like a very few. But then, of course, depending on your business and your goals, you may need to have a wider portfolio of different products and services. So it is tricky to get that right, and that's something that I'm still learning about, it's a
Hmm.
constant, it's an ongoing thing. Um, but yeah, now focusing on this new one-to-one direction and seeing how I can establish that. It's going to be interesting to see what happens from there in
Yeah.
terms of lead magnet. What's the new lead magnet going to be? How am I going to kind of tweak my YouTube content and especially the intros in my YouTube to hopefully get to appeal to more of the viewers that I want. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. Have you looked at all at like, well, who are the people who do sign up for one-to-one coaching? Like, what have they got in common?
Yeah, I mean it's difficult. Okay, so it's how do you I know where you're going. Like, how can you target them, with your content
Hmm.
more efficiently? For me, so far, it's because one-to-one coaching is a higher investment, and
Hmm.
these are private people. Often they're paying for it themselves. They will generally be living and working in a country where, they earn the money that makes that possible. They
Hmm.
have a higher purchasing power. They already have good jobs. They
Yeah.
are good at their jobs. They're established
Hmm.
in their careers, and they're serious. They have opportunities within their companies or maybe outside that are there waiting for them. But there's a gap between their English performance and getting there. So it's also, when I look at my YouTube analytics and I see often that, my number two country is the US. And I'm like, yeah, lots of people in the US who are, non-native speakers who've,
Hmm.
gone to live and work there. And so as I often think, how can I, and then also Europe, of course. So how can I get more people from those regions to, get eyeballs on my different offers and.
Yeah, and I know less about YouTube and how to get the right kind of people watching the videos. But what I'm wondering is if we could talk through the ideas of like, well, what might work? Just have a little brainstorming session. What might work as a tripwire or lead magnet? I've got an idea, and I haven't figured out if it's a good one yet. But like, I wonder if there's something that would target those business professionals as a tripwire that you could sell quite cheaply, but maybe some kind of an initial assessment or something like that. Is there anything that you do at the beginning of your one-to-one coaching that you could splinter off and sell separately? Like, is there anything you do in terms of analyzing where they're at, what their gaps are? Is there anything you do in terms of helping them make a plan? Like, what is there towards the beginning of the coaching? Is there anything you can think of that maybe could be splintered and sold just as an individual thing? Because then that could maybe be your tripwire.
Yeah, it's a good question. I do have, at the moment, the way I have it set up is I offer a free, what I call professional English impact analysis.
Okay.
It's quite wordy.
Yeah.
And that is part of the process. So they apply, first of all. I don't just invite anybody for this. They have to fill out an application form. So they go to the landing page, learn about the one-to-one offer, and then next step is apply, and they fill out a form. And based on that form, I will either invite them for this free professional English impact analysis. So in that 30-minute free session for people who have shown a real interest in the coaching, I assess where they are at the moment. I analyze. We talk about like the things that are causing them the most problems at the moment.
Okay.
And I give them a few tips, tell them what I believe, is possible, what's the best way forward. If I believe that they would be a good fit for the coaching, I tell them more about that and ultimately, promote that and try and get them to make a decision about that. So yeah, maybe a version of that could be like a tripwire or a kind of a lead magnet. Yeah, it's not a bad idea.
What if you sold that up front for, I'm just going to pull a number out of the air here. Like, what do you charge in dollars or euros or
Dollars?
Dollars. Okay. What if you charged, let's say $49 or $99 for that upfront assessment? And then if they decide to go into the program, you refund, you take that off, but you're not selling it as, are you interested in our program? If so, you need to take this assessment. You're just selling it as an assessment on its own.
Yeah.
Just keep it really, really simple. But if they go through that assessment, you will help them to see this is where your gaps are. And then it will be an easier sell into, would you like to hear about, okay, here's where you're at. Here's a few tips around it. The thing that we've got that's going to help you the most is our one-to-one coaching.
Yeah.
Do you want me to tell you about it? If they say no, no problem. You move on. If they say yes, well, you've been invited to basically pitch them on the thing. And then you'd be making some money from doing those one-to-one things. Eventually, if it works, we don't know that, right? But if it worked, you could then get somebody else to do those rather than you doing them. If it doesn't work, it doesn't matter. Not much loss, really.
Yeah, it's another thing that I've heard other people doing. So I know a couple of people who do exactly that. They charge for that, and then if someone decides to go ahead and do it, they give them that off the full investment. They give them that. And that's also really interesting. Another, like, I know also some people who are converting people to high ticket one-to-one programs without any kind of call, without any kind of face-to-face meeting before. And that's also like very interesting. Like, how do you do that? How do you do that well and efficiently? How does that work exactly? What does that really look like? Is that something that I could do in the future? Then I don't need to invest the time on the call, or as you say, bring in other people to do that call, that analysis for me.
Yeah, I don't know how you would do that without the call. You maybe through webinars, but the call is the most proven system for selling high ticket thing, and it's also a really good place to start, even if later on. Like, you look at, you mentioned Timothy Moser to me before we started recording, and he he does a challenge. I think it's a 1 month challenge. And then he does a webinar and he sells on the webinar. But it's like, I wouldn't start with that.
Yeah, yeah. No, I mean,
It's like
definitely not. If
it's a lot of, it's taken him a lot of fine tuning, refining, tweaking, whatever, in order to get that to work.
Yeah, definitely. I know just from listening to that interview that you had with him that it's been a process of getting to this, like a lot of fine
Yeah.
tuning. But yeah, I think it sounds like what I don't know Timothy personally, but it sounds that he's built something really, really interesting and great, and more power to him. But yeah, the call, I do, I mean, I like people. I like getting on the call. I like
No,
getting
not
to know
people,
them.
Derek. Nasty things.
I like, just especially when it's me who's going to be delivering the coaching
Yeah, yeah,
initially.
yeah.
I
I think you should try it. I think set that up as like you could
yeah,
try that as an offer to your email list. That'd be the easiest first step. Just,
yeah,
set up a landing page, a sales page for it, offer it as a $99 thing, see how many people sign up, and then off the back of that, try offering the coaching. And then I know you're running a promotion already, but like that would be a different promotion, but leading into the same thing.
yeah, yeah,
So you could promote that. So you're not promoting the coaching, you're promoting this off offer. If it works and if people like the idea of it, and then people from there are signing up at a good enough rate to the main program, then you could try setting it up as the tripwire
yeah.
behind but that's like, that's 2 steps down the road. But
Yeah, but
so go on, sorry.
definitely worth thinking about. And I like the idea of yeah, it makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'd definitely be up for testing it.
Yeah. This is the most reliable way I've ever found to come up with tripwires and lead magnets, is to work backwards from the main offer.
Hmm.
Is to say, right, what is there in the main offer that is a necessary first step of the main offer that you could break off and sell separately? Because then you've not made something new. It perfectly aligns with the main thing. So, for example, in my business, what we used to do is we would talk to people I would talk to people on a call who wanted some help with their email marketing and their funnels. And I'd talk to them for 45 minutes, and then I would go away and I'd write a proposal, and then I'd have another call and I'd go through the proposal. And what we found was, every time when you started actually doing the work, what they told you on that 45-minute call wasn't quite right.
Mm.
They didn't remember their numbers quite right, and what they needed wasn't quite what we agreed to do, and so it didn't line up properly, and it all got confusing. And I took a course from a guy called Brennan Dunn, and Brennan's
Okay.
actually been on the podcast. He's a great guy. And episode 149, Brennan Dunn's tips for launching a course.
I'll make a quick note there myself.
And then I took his course called Road Mapping. And he was saying, if you are delivering a service for people, then what you should do is not sell the service, is you sell a road mapping session or an audit or a workshop or something that's at the beginning that you would have done anyway as part of the
Yeah.
service for planning it out. And then you sell that. And then off the back of that, you sell the main service, because that gives people a chance to spend not that much money with you. So they're not had to trust you tons. Like when I first started doing our audit, I would charge $500. I was like, I'm not completely sure how well it's going to go. Let me say, and everyone would say, "Oh, that's a no-brainer." And then over time, we increased the price for that front-end offer. And then, but it was necessary. We had to do that step first of make a plan before we deliver the plan. And so by
Yeah.
doing the full audit and charging for it, we could spend a week going through, analyzing everything, figuring everything out, making a really, really good plan. And then we had a great plan. And then if they wanted to go do it themselves, that was fine. Or if they wanted to work with us, well, now they trusted us a lot more because they'd seen us put a lot of effort in and make a great plan and dig into everything. Whereas we would never have done that if it was for free. And if they haven't spent any money, they've made no commitment. So then that helped as well as that kind of initial stage. And so then I've taken that concept and done that with loads of other people, clients, but also just business friends. And I've gone, okay, how can we splinter something off and do that? And it tends to work very reliably. It tends to be really good. It doesn't guarantee it's going to work in this particular situation, but it
Yeah.
means that there's a good chance, right? There's a really good chance. And if you can sell it, that leads seamlessly into the next step. And then If you want to get really clever, then you splinter off something from that and you sell that as the lead magnet. So you give
Yeah.
that away as a lead magnet, something really small that's at the very beginning. And I don't know
Yeah.
what that would be. I haven't got
Yeah.
ideas on that.
It makes total sense. And that's kind of the way I'm thinking of, like, okay, as I start delivering I've already started with the first client. So as I start delivering the program, to like start thinking backwards, what's the lead magnet? And what is ultimately a tripwire or a low ticket offer that kind of everything lines up. And it makes sense. And I think the analysis, some kind of, like a really valuable meet up, a call, where they get great value, and they get also kind of like a roadmap. Okay, so this is what you really need to focus on to improve and close those gaps. Go ahead and do it yourself, as you say. I think this one-to-one coaching will be the get you the results faster and better. So yeah, it's always great to talk to someone about these things, get them, just talk about them out loud, right? Because I often end up talking to myself about these things. Constantly thinking about what should I do next and what would make sense and da 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 da. So it's always nice to just have a chat about this stuff, because my wife won't listen to me anymore.
Yeah. I was chatting with someone the other day. He messaged me, as a guy who I'd been in a mastermind with, and he messaged me and said how he was sat down on Saturday night with his wife with a glass of wine and chilling out, and he went to YouTube, and one of my podcast episodes came up, and he got his wife to watch that on YouTube with him. I'm like, but why? Like, she's not interested in selling courses. She's not interested in email marketing and funnels. I was like, dude, watch that in your own time. That's
so
not going to win
funny.
you any favors, is it?
I have to tell you a story.
I know
actually,
I'm entertaining, but I'm not as good as Netflix.
It's really funny, right? I have to tell you something that's kind of along the same lines. It's something that we couldn't. It was an idea, well intended, but we just couldn't keep it up. So I discovered the podcast quite a good while back, and I thought, oh wow, this is great and really interesting people. You can learn a lot listening to John and his guests. And I'm in that space. This is great. I like this. But I don't have lots of time available to listen to podcasts and stuff. So like I said to my wife, yeah, this guy and his podcast, and what would be cool? Why don't you listen to the podcast like once every couple of weeks and then just tell me about it? I was like,
this was your idea.
And like, my wife's a very intelligent lady, but she knows a lot about this business from listening to me. But now when I say that out loud, it sounds ridiculous. What was I expecting? What was I asking of my wife? Yeah, you listen to it and tell me about it. Like, what an idiot. But yeah, no, she did. She listened to a few and she liked it, but like I think after two, that was it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you're not trying to learn how to build better funnels or online courses, then I don't know that this is the podcast for you.
Yeah.
Derek, this has been awesome. I love what you're doing. I'm really excited to see how it goes with your new offer with the one-to-one coaching.
Cheers. Yeah.
For the listeners, I wanted to just let you know the Timothy Moser interview that Derek had mentioned is episode 170. If you want to go and check that out, so that's a good episode. Derek, let me know how it goes. Keep me updated. If you try out that offer as a Tripwire or as a separate offer, then and it works or doesn't work, let me know. I'd be curious to hear either way. I think it's fantastic. So
yeah, I'll keep you informed.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate it.
No worries.
Love this episode. Thank you very much for coming on, and I'll talk to you soon.
Yeah, thanks very much. Thanks for having me, and take care. See you.